Why did you start this channel? Well, there's two different reasons for why I started this channel. Firstly, I posted my first video ever, and it was of me playing piano covers of songs, and I posted it like 10 years ago maybe, so I would have been like early teens, and I just posted that because I loved piano and I love music. But then the second reason why I started this channel would be sort of the rebirth of this channel, where you started to see my face and me talking about my life and what I do rather than just like me playing piano. I posted it just to document my collection, my vinyl collection and my book collection, and what I was reading and listening to at the time of my life. I thought it'd be really cool at the age of 21, which is when I posted my first video, to show what music I listened to so that I could go back to it when I was really old and be like, wow, that's so cool, that's what I listened to and that's what I talked about and how I looked when I was 21. And then to look at my vinyl collection maybe in my 50s, 60s and be like, wow, it's changed so much, or oh my god, I've still got some of these vinyls, or whatever it is, or just reminds me of where I got some of those vinyls from. And then I started to post booktube videos shortly after that, and I posted that because my two main loves in life are music and reading, so it just made sense that if I was going to continue to post videos, because I really enjoyed the first experience of posting that vinyl collection video, that I was going to include books in that, because books are one of my great passions. What are some fun and unique things you can bring to booktube? Well, the first thing that comes to mind is that I don't just post videos about books, I also post videos about my music collection. So that's definitely part of it, is that I sort of have a 50-50 split of my love for books and my love for music on this channel. And I would say secondly would be that I don't really like young adult, which seems to be not as prevalent on booktube. Everyone sort of really likes young adult. There definitely are booktubers out there that don't just like young adult. There's a lot of them. I follow a lot of them, but at the same time it does sometimes feel like the booktube community is saturated a bit with young adult fiction, and that's not a genre that I particularly like. So one of the main reasons also that I wanted to sort of post videos about books was because I do read stuff that is a bit more of a mix of all different types, and I still do read some young adult, but it's just like maybe 10% of what I read. What are you most excited for about this channel? I just post videos when I feel like posting videos about things that I want to post videos about, and that's sort of how I view it. I don't view it as like, oh, this is something to like create in the future and like do this and that and like get excited about this. It's more just like I'm just viewing it day by day. If anything, what excites me most is when people comment and say that they really got something out of the video, or they recommend things to me, or they say that they loved what I do or something. That's really nice. I would say that's what excites me most, I guess. The thing is, whether I post on YouTube or not, I'm still doing these things anyway. I'm still collecting vinyl, I'm still reading, or whatever it is, so it doesn't really make a difference to me too much, except the communication I have with people. Why do you love reading? I think I love reading because it helps me process emotions. It helps me process what happens to me in real life. Sometimes life can be really overwhelming and taxing, so it's nice to hide away sometimes in a corner, pick up a book and clear your mind of everything else and just focus on the one thing at hand. Probably 90% of the revelations or things I've learnt about life has been through reading. Reading, you can learn so much through. It can change your life and change how you view the world. I still remember reading Frankenstein or A Thousand Splendid Suns at the age of 12, where I really started to get into reading, and it just completely blowing my mind and just changing everything I knew about the world. So it's just moments like that, I guess, is why I read. What book or series got you into reading? Okay, there's two different answers to this. There's what got me into just reading, which is, I guess, is the question, and that would be maybe Harry Potter, Enid Blyton, I can't say her name, but The Fog of the Faraway Tree, whoever the person that writes that, I don't know how to pronounce it. Ronald Dahl, also Duncan Ball Selby, I read this a lot as a child. This is an Australian author. So those would be the books that really got me into the act of reading as a child. But then I would say what really got me into loving reading and thinking it was the best thing ever was definitely the books I mentioned before, like A Thousand Splendid Suns and Frankenstein. Those books that I sort of picked up around the age of 12, 13 really changed me and really opened my eyes to how much reading can affect you. What questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? I just watch my favorite booktubers, but I don't feel like I have to ask them questions. I guess the booktuber that I find the most fascinating is Murphy Napier, I think it is. She is very, very cool. She narrates audiobooks, which I think is like super cool, but also posts a lot of videos on her channel somehow. I guess the question I'd ask is, how does she post that many videos? Like, I just find it insane how much content she's able to produce. I'm loving it because I love all her content and I watch nearly all her videos, so I'm happy about it. But I do question how she's able to do it and also raise a child. She's so amazing. She's definitely an inspiration to me, how she's able to do all that work. And she's also able to read so much. That's what I would ask. How are they able to read that much? Like, booktubers are able to read so much. I don't understand. I know that they usually, it is their full-time job to read and post videos about it, while I have a full-time job that's separate from reading. So that might be why, is that I could spend 9 hours of the day reading rather than doing my job. So I guess that would be how they do it. I'm always so surprised by how much time booktubers are able to find posting videos and reading. It's just insane. What challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? Challenges? I don't see any challenge here. I feel like these questions are asking me to like view my channel in a different way from how I view it. I just post videos that I want to post about, and like I like talking about books and reading, and I don't really see where the challenge is in that at all. When did you start reading? I started reading probably around 5. No, well, my mum would read to me a lot growing up, but I didn't start reading my own books by myself until I probably went to primary school, and we had a library, and I would always pick up a bunch of books like Paul Jennings, Andy Griffiths, Selby, like I said before. I picked up a lot of Australian authors. I also really loved the Goosebumps series. I was obsessed with those books. They were probably the first taste of the horror genre that I got, and I loved it. Anyway, yeah, probably all those books that I started reading in primary school between the ages of like 5 to 9. Yeah, that would be my first taste of like actually properly reading. Where do you read? I read in a multitude of places. I read on my bed, I read in the lounge room, and I read on the train, and I also read while I walk, as in I listen to audiobooks, or I also listen to audiobooks when I'm in the shower. I also listen to audiobooks if I'm cooking food. I just pretty much listen to books like anywhere I can. And what kind of books do you like to read? Well, a lot of different types of books, but if I had to whittle it down to just a few different genres, it would probably be dystopian, which could be sci-fi dystopian like The Hunger Games, but it also mostly relates to classics such as 1984 or Fahrenheit 451, Slaughterhouse-5. I read fantasy, probably not as much as other booktubers that are obsessed with fantasy, but I do read some fantasy. I do have a fantasy shelf. Read a lot of manga and a lot of graphic novels. I also read some non-fiction at points, and I would say that I also lastly read a bit of literary fiction, I think you would call it, like Murakami, Ishiguro, Ottessa Moshfegh I recently read. I didn't really intro this video accidentally, but this is the BOOKTUBE Newbie Tag. And yes, I just put Akira in the thumbnail because I think it's beautiful.